This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1721. Comic Talk! I'm Ian Leatherstein.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Adam Murdo.
And I'm Chris Everly.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody, as we engage in yet another groundbreaking experiment in post-local podcasting here. 4 geeks, 4 locations, and not a one of them in the CGS studio tonight. And we want to extend extra special thanks to Ian Levenstein, remotely from Brooklyn, for guest producing this episode using his computer rig.
My pleasure as always, folks, and I'm glad I'm indoors because holy crap, is it cold out.
Yes, it is.
Ian, but I feel soft, warm, and nougaty inside because you're helming this episode, and I know I can rest easily.
Well, now I'm warm and tingly.
And I want everybody to know that I'm now holding up my beloved Funko Ming the Merciless that Shane bought me some time ago.
Outstanding.
They're called Tears.
Titus, I'm bored. I like to play with things a while.
All right, gentlemen. Let us commence. Mert, I believe, is sponsor to share.
Yes, thank you, Chris. This episode of Comic Geek Speak is brought to you by the Collection Drawer Company, maker of the fantastic Drawer Box, which is a godsend to the, shall we say, prolific comic book collector. And if your living space is anything like mine, which has basically been reduced to one big henge of piles of traditional lift-top drawer boxes, the drawer box is going to be of great interest to you because it's the drawer box that you can open by pulling out a drawer from the front as opposed to lifting a lid off the top. So if you happen to have a large pile of these boxes, one on top of the other, and need something out of the bottommost box, you don't need to disassemble the pile to get at it. You can simply pull the drawer out of the front, access what you need, and push it back in. No fuss, no muss. It really does live up to its name, the easy access storage solution. And if you happen to have a collection of things other than comics, such as magazines or LP records, action figures, and the like, drawer boxes come in a variety of different sizes and shapes to accommodate whatever it is you're amassing. And let's not forget the accessories that also come along with your drawer boxes, such as the box locks stabilizers, which help to prevent box tipping and provide even better long-term stacking strength, and the box sort upright dividers, which are partitions that can be put inside your drawer boxes to help to organize and stabilize their contents so that they don't flop around and possibly get damaged as you pull that drawer out and push it back in over and over again. So that's just smart engineering on the part of the drawer box people at the Collection Drawer Company. And let's also not forget that they recently added a double wall construction to every size and shape of drawer box, which makes them stronger, more stable, and more stackable than they have ever been before. You know, usually in the past, the prescribed maximum height of a stack of drawer boxes had been 5, but I think now you might be able to go as high as 6 thanks to this additional strength added to the design. And if you happen to have a very large collection that needs to be housed in drawer boxes or a lot of long boxes to be replaced by drawer boxes, they do offer volume discounts for large orders. So pay them a visit at collectiondrawer.com to find out how you can put the easy access storage solution that is the drawer box storage system to work for you. Or if you'd rather, you can visit the Collection Drawer Company at Facebook under Drawer Box Storage System, or find them on Instagram as Drawer Boxes.
Very good, very good. And if at any point during this episode, folks, you hear echo, it just means that we like something so much we wanted to say it twice.
That's right, we do. That's right.
Echoed for emphasis.
Yeah, and that was a magnificent bit of cosmetic lipstick on the pig. Well done, my friend.
You see,
well done indeed.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Well, brethren, I am thrilled to be hearing all your voices this evening. As Murd mentioned, luckily we're not living in the Midwest right now, where it's literally like Antarctica.
Oh my God!
But it's pretty frosty on the East Coast as well. And I think tomorrow, the weather prediction is about 1 degree, I believe they're saying, at least where I live in New Jersey. But again, we're all safe and cozy in our respective abodes. And looking forward to talking about comics and comic-related media.
Amen to that.
And what's the first item on our agenda, Magellan? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, there was some not so very great news out of DC Comics that we should probably get out of the way to start off with. Earlier this week, actually last week now, because time is flipping away from me, there were some layoffs at DC Comics, and it looks like they're going to be restructuring entirely. I mean, considering how much their landscape has changed over the past couple of years, I guess it doesn't really surprise me when things like this happen. But the biggest layoff of this particular group seems to be that their SVP art director Mark Chiarello is no longer with the company, and he's the guy who mainly corralled talent for a lot of their projects on the art side. So I'm wondering if this will actually change up, what artists wind up working for DC Comics in some capacity, considering he had working agreements and arrangements with many of the top talent of the industry. And
Ian, were there any other creative slots reduced, or was it more like administrative type positions?
Mainly administrative, from the looks of it. Like I'm looking here that Pam Lifford, the president of Warner Brothers Global Brands and Experiences, said that the editorial unit will continue to be run by Bob Harris, so he's not going anywhere right now. And it looks like Dan DiDio's job is also safe, as is Jim Lee. The only other jobs that really got cut as of now look like they're in the sales trade marketing department. But that did also mean that one of the solicited Hush trade paperbacks that was being fronted by one of the men who was just let go was canceled almost immediately after this announcement was made. So go figure on that. But I mean, nothing huge, but who knows if this is the end of the layoffs at this point.
Did I read somewhere that part of that restructuring was taking the DC Direct toys and DC Direct kind of line and moving them under something Warner Brothers division?
I have vague recollection of that happening. I'm not sure if this was this restructuring or if that was the last one.
Yeah, I couldn't find it again when I was looking for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we're really not going to know the true ramifications of this until maybe a couple months from now to see if we're seeing different names on books.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
go ahead, Mert. I'm sorry.
Just pursuant to what Shane was asking, I found one sentence in the DC interoffice memo that announced all of this. DC Collectibles and its team will be part of the consumer products toy team moving forward.
Oh, maybe that's what I read.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Sure thing.
Well, I have to wonder, and again, this is purely educated guesswork just based on all the years of retailing experience and so forth. If this is sort of just the very beginning of a sea change we're going to see among the major comic book companies. And again, I'm not saying this to be sour grapes, regardless of what some people in the forums might think. It's just reality. These books sell at extremely low numbers, at least in the floppy format. I don't know about trades. So, how long that can be sustained is an open question. I've often wondered, both when I ran a store and afterwards, like how much money they're actually making on these comic books. I can't imagine it's much, if anything. At this point, as my old dear friend and former manager Bill Ellis used to say, that the basic, even though as technology has progressed in so many areas in our culture and life, the basic expenses about making comic books really haven't changed, in that it's still that 4-color format, and you got to pay all the creators and all the different steps that go into producing the book. And as we know, we see that reflected in the ever increasing price, the cover price. So, when will the chickens come home to roost, in the sense that when is there going to be that tipping point where they just can't afford that anymore? I don't know. I'm hazarding pure educated guesswork. But
Yeah.
that remains to be seen. But it's certainly interesting from a whole slew of different perspectives. So,
well, their digital end seems to have certainly been going through some changes of late, even if it's not with people leaving and going. But the fact that a deal was just made where DC Comics is now officially a part of Comixology Unlimited, and they were really the only real holdout from the major publishers in the comic book world that was not a part of that. And now you get bonuses of a whole bunch of books included with your Comixology Unlimited membership, both new and old, and also a 15% discount on any Comixology purchase you make that is DC related, which is a nice bonus on top of that. But I'm seeing maybe a little bit more of a digital strategy from DC, and maybe that's also possibly why some of these changes are happening as they try to keep up in today's world.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a valid point, Ian, because, again, and we've talked about this before, when we'll get to the point where the paper format just doesn't make sense anymore from a business perspective, and they go all digital. I don't know. I mean, but you have to imagine that at some point that's going to happen. I mean, sure, there's still comic book stores and Diamond and all of that, but they're not going to be around forever either.
Yeah.
So, when is that inevitable tipping point going to happen? I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be next year or years away. I don't know, but it's just like so many other aspects of our popular culture where we see these changes going on. Shane, you'll especially appreciate this. I had this huge library of DVDs, and I rarely ever touch them anymore because I just stream everything now.
Yeah.
With rare exception. So, when is the same thing going to happen with the comic book format? Now, granted, far more people are watching films than they're reading comic books, but it'll just be interesting to see, and of course, in many ways, quite sad. But it just seems inevitable. So,
well, talking about comic shops closing as well, news came out a day ago. I mean, for my neck of the woods, that St. Mark's Comics in Manhattan is closing after 36 years in the business.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I mean, personal hot take here, St. Mark's Comics has never been my favorite place in the world. But I know that a lot of people, shop there and had it in their hearts as perhaps the place they might have, bought their first comic or gone to on a regular basis. But I never really gelled with that place. I did with other comic shops in Manhattan. But still, 36 years in the business is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
And do they give any official reason, or they just said they're closing?
Basically, they had a further statement on Facebook where they said that it's a combination of rising rents plus 36 years in the business, and the owner just felt like he couldn't keep up anymore, with all the changes in the neighborhood and changes in the economy and a combination of raised rents, and that was it.
Well, so. Ian, let me ask you this, because you're a denizen of that area.
Yeah.
Is that another example of the sort of the corporate gentrification of Manhattan?
It's at least partially that, especially in the area of St. Mark's, because a lot of those smaller shops in the area have closed over the past couple of years. Doesn't necessarily mean they're not being replaced by other small businesses. It's just a specific brand of small business has changed in that area. And there's even been a couple of storefronts that lay dormant for like 3 or 4 years because they were looking for quote-unquote big name tenants, which I find a crazy practice that you'd rather have something empty than fill just to try to get somebody like a Starbucks to come into your building. This just looks like it may have just been the end of the road for St. Mark's. He has I know that in the statement they made a slight passing remark that they may try to either sell the business or crowdfund something to try to keep them going, but chances are slim on that. And they had a location in Brooklyn that closed back in 2015, and now this one's closing, and I just think it's just a changing era. That's it more than anything else.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I did visit that store a couple times many years ago because I always love checking out comic shops wherever town I'm in.
Yep.
And I'm always sorry to hear when another shop, for whatever reason, is leaving the scene.
Yep.
But I asked about the corporate thing because even where I live in New Jersey, in central New Jersey, there's a lot of smaller towns, and everywhere you go now, I mean, when the new stores open up, it's always like Whole Foods or
yep.
Yeah.
It's stores that we kind of all have to shop at now because we don't have a lot of alternatives, but you rarely see now any true individually owned small business. And the term small business, a lot of times when you hear politicians use that term, they're not really talking about true mom and pop small business. They're talking about, business that may have like 50 employees and are like, part of some chain. That's another example of how everything is changing in our society when it comes to, what is a small business and what kind of stores are we going to be shopping at? If we're even shopping at any physical stores anymore at all anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I was on vacation in Florida this last week, we took a trip to a Barnes & Noble, and that was the first time I'd been in a Barnes & Noble in months, if not almost half a year, probably. It was because we needed a place to go, so that's a good place to walk into. And looking at the prices on there, a lot of the prices are higher than I could have gotten them online, but because I was in the store, I made a purchase and I got myself volume 5 of Paper Girls just because it was right there. But it's Barnes & Noble. It's still technically one of the larger bookstores, but it's nice to walk into one every now and then.
Oh yeah, there's one in my town, and I make a habit of going to it at least once a month, and I just to buy a history magazine or something because I love having a bookstore still available to me, even though, like you said, it is more expensive. But sometimes, I don't mind paying the extra money just to have an actual physical place to go and look at books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've got one in the Reading area as well, and my mother is a regular patron.
There you go.
And one other quick aside as we're on this topic, I still have the fact that at least in my region, there's still some used bookstores out there as well, especially in Montclair, New Jersey. The Montclair Book Center is phenomenal. It's one of the best used bookstores I've ever been in.
Wow.
And those are few and far between too, but they're vital resources. So
when I was in Winter Haven, Florida, the local library had a used bookstore with some of their cast-offs, and I took a photo of it and posted it to my Facebook and my Instagram at one point. One of the books they had on the shelf was the 5th edition of the AOL How to Use the Internet Guide. A solid $1 right there for the best guide you could find for the internet in 1997.
Ian, I trust you had a healthy, happy sojourn in Florida.
I did, yeah. It was nice and refreshing, and then I came back to cold. Although I did get to experience Animal Kingdom for the first time in a while, the Disney park, and got to check out their Avatar part of the park, which is really, really pretty. And mind you, I had to wait 3 hours to get on the actual Avatar ride.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, seriously, Shane, I got there when they opened.
Jeez. 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. But, I mean, since we got there when it opened, it was first, it was still only noon when we got off the ride. But it was very, very fascinating just how well they created Pandora there. I mean, for an alien world right at the back of a park, they did a good job of making things look like they're actually levitating and really, really pretty.
So it sounds like it was more enthralling than the movie.
Yes, very much so.
Sorry, guys, I'm not a fan of Avatar.
No, neither am I.
Yeah, neither am I. I found it visually fascinating, but the story was not.
Yeah.
Well, let's since we're talking about books and reading, what are we reading these days, gentlemen, that's striking our fancy in terms of comics?
Well, I'm trying to get caught up on Batman. I'm a few issues behind on that. And Justice League. I've always been really good at keeping up with Justice League. All of a sudden, I'm 3 or 4 issues behind on that, and as well as Odyssey and I'm blanking on the other one's name too, the other Justice League book. But yeah, I'm behind on all of those. I did read Heroes in Crisis and Doomsday Clock. Both good. I still don't quite understand what Doomsday Clock is doing. I don't like that it comes out every other month because I forget what happened in the previous issue. Then I go back and skim it and then read the new one. But the artwork's beautiful, and I like seeing these characters interact. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the point of all of it is.
Yeah, I especially considering that it's been delayed even further than every other month for a couple of the issues.
Yeah,
I may have to just wait until it's all done to read it because it's. I hate having to go back and reread like the first 4 issues to get to issue 5 because I've completely forgotten what's happened since.
Yeah, it's a little painful that way.
Yeah, and Shane, I'm actually 2 issues behind on that. I haven't read the last 2, which, as you said, came out months apart from each other.
Yeah.
I'll read them, but like Ian, I may have to go back when it's done and get a trade because I enjoy what I've read so far. But the way life is now, if unless I'm reading a book consistently every month, I tend to forget what's going on, which is also a sign of my increasing middle age, I assume, as well. But Shane, I just read Heroes in Crisis number 4. Which I really enjoyed. What'd you think of it?
Well, that's another.
Or haven't read it.
That's another one. I still don't quite understand where they're going, where Tom's going with it. I like how we get an explanation of the videos we're watching as to why we're seeing them in that book, and a couple of the pages in that book are just beautiful with some of my favorite characters on them. But I'm not sure that we're seeing something that's in current continuity or not. Just something seems off, like we're looking at something outside of what our regular continuity is. But as time goes on, we'll see.
Well, I won't spoil issue 5 because that literally came out today, and I read the digital copy right before we started recording. There's a lot going on in that 5th issue that makes you question who may have done things.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything at all other than to put it that way. And there's also some excellent interplay and interaction between Batgirl and Harley Quinn, both in issues 4 and 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way,
that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is Clayman's best work yet on this series. That opening splash page where they show the original Teen Titans is utterly
beautiful.
Breathtaking.
The artwork in that whole series is some of the best I've seen in a long time.
You got the full page of Lois and Clark's shirt. The page, again, without spoiling, and you'll know what I'm talking about, where it's the video of Batgirl.
Yep.
That piece of original art is going to fetch a lot of money.
If
it's ever released on the market. I'm so excited with where it seems Tom is going with this, but like Ian was saying, part of the fun is you're not really sure. The Black Canary page was tremendous. Her video page. And Shane, you must have been thrilled with the
yes,
with the Booster and Blue Beetle without going into it, so I don't spoil anything.
Yeah.
Their interplay. One question I have for you, which is not a spoil, just because I'm a little out of it with some of the continuity. Is Ted Kord alive or not now?
Well, he was in the Blue Beetle book, and he was mentoring Jaime, which is fine. So they would fly around in the bug, and he would put a shirt on, whether it be a Kord Industries shirt or a Blue Beetle kind of costume shirt. But it seems like he's more active in this book than what he should be as Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Which is why some of what I'm questioning in my head as to what we're seeing. And it could be that Booster's imagining all this too. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah.
It just, something seems off in some of what I see, and I know it's purposely put there, but yeah, those pages were absolutely beautiful.
Well, pages 2 and 3 of issue 5, I would love to have hung up on my wall. It's a gorgeous spread using the room that Booster is sitting in to say the words "Heroes in Crisis" using the objects that are in the room.
Oh, an Eisner-esque page.
It is absolutely breathtaking. I was so thrilled with the way that turned out. It's great.
Well, I look forward to reading my next shipment.
Yep.
I've been enjoying this miniseries consistently. Like Shane is saying, I mean, obviously Tom has an agenda, and you know, I enjoy. Again, it's a good mystery. We're just getting pieces. We're not getting the image, just fragments, and it's masterfully done. And again, the artwork. I mean, it truly is breathtaking.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
That page, Shane, where they show Green Arrow and Black Canary on the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
My God, I mean, this top flight stuff right there.
Yeah.
So, Shane, you mentioned in your email that you were reading the Fantastic Four.
Yes, I read the first 3 issues of the new series. It was fun. I liked it. I don't know that I'm going to get because I'm contemplating going with the whole Marvel comic universe app thing you can get where you get all the issues.
Yep.
I'm so far behind on Marvel Unlimited. Thank you. I'm so far behind on so many things that I did have Marvel's, Star Wars stuff especially, that I keep downloading the digital copies of the books I have, and I'm trying to read through them. And I kind of figure once I get caught up on all of them, it'll probably be 6 months, which is about what time it takes for the new stuff to get online. So then I can sign up for the Marvel Unlimited, start reading from where I stopped purchasing paper copies and read from there. And by the time I get caught up on all that, then what's coming out now will be perpetually being put online the 6 months after I'm caught up on reading things. So I did read the first 3 issues of the new Fantastic Four, and I think that was just the first arc encompassing those 3 issues. It was fun. It was neat to see them again. They're gallivanting around in other universes, and Franklin's kind of creating them as they go. And it goes off in an interesting way to get the group back together and do battle defending all these universes. The artwork was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I concur. I'm a lifelong FF fan, and it's been fun to have the team back together. Again, it's Dan Slott writing, so you know you're going to get a very solid, if not great, yarn.
Yeah.
And since Chip Zdarsky did such a wonderful job on the Marvel 2-1 book, which kind of held FF fans over until the FF returned, to their flagship title, and then to see them all together again. And I have not read the wedding issue yet, which I have.
No, I don't have that one.
I'll comment on that next time. But it's again, I was reflecting today about how there are certain titles I've literally been reading now, month to month, for probably 30 years. And that Fantastic Four is one of them. And there are times where I think, just stuff's getting too expensive. I got to drop some books, and I go, I can't though, because these are my friends.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm just when I start to kind of lose a bit of faith. I read an issue. I'm like, this is still really fun, and I'm still really into these characters if they're well handled.
Yeah.
So, I'm reading the Ta-Nehisi Coates Captain America, which is outstanding. I mean, I think Lionel Yu, I think, is the artist. And he's taking a lot of great elements of Cap's history, including from some of the Brubaker stuff, which of course is classic. And he's weaving an interesting new tale coming out of the whole, the Hydra stories that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Stunning Alex Ross covers. It's outstanding Captain America. And I can't wait to see where he goes with that. But, there's still a lot of great stuff coming out of the big two. And like Shane, you mentioned before, Batman, I just read the 6th trade from King's Run, Bride or Burglar, which reprints issues 38 to 44. So this is the last books I missed until I started reading the book monthly. So I caught up.
Okay.
Man, let me tell you, I mean, the issue where Catwoman, and Merv especially appreciate this, is reflecting on her life, her past with Bruce, and they show her in basically every costume Catwoman has ever, from the Golden Age forward. Again, the reverence King has for the history is so shines through in these stories. It just, again, for me, this is the most exciting Batman stories I've ever read in my comic book reading life. And I've read a ton of Batman, and Shane's read more than me, but this is wow. And the story where he and Wonder Woman end up in that other universe, with together for decades essentially, while time isn't passing on Earth, and the Poison Ivy story is magnificent. This is again, Tom King, man. He just keeps knocking it out of the park. And I think whenever Batman comics, whenever the day comes when they ever actually end, and if we can be alive when that happens or what have you, but this run will definitely, I'm sure, it'll be a standout historically because writing is so sophisticated, but his understanding of the history and the characters and what makes them tick and their relationships and the history of those relationships is so spot on. And yet then he takes it to the next level. This is about as good as superhero comics gets right now.
Yeah, I think Batman's one of those that I would classify as reading for the last 30 plus years. I think I started with like issue 4. Let's see, year 1 was what, 404 to 408. I think I started with 410 or something like that, and then I went backwards and got back to 400. So from 400 really till today, I've read every Batman book. I don't have them all anymore, but I have read them all. And Justice League certainly is up there too. I've read everything since 1986 easily, and I've gone backwards with that as well.
Yeah, Batman. The current Batman is on my list of books to catch up on. Mind you, so is the Ta-Nehisi Coates Captain America, because I have Marvel Unlimited and I need to use it more than I am. So that's definitely going to be something that I wind up reading in the next couple of months. But I have access to all of King's stuff, and I'm way behind, even before the aborted wedding issue. So I need to catch myself up. Hopefully within the next week or two, I'll read through everything and get myself at least further acquainted with what's been going on in the past couple of months. But I've liked what I've read so far.
Well, Levy Poo, let me tell you, I am very much looking forward to your opinion on all these books when you catch up.
And I shall share it.
Splendid. By the way, Shane, because we were talking this off the air recently, when I read these Batman stories, issues 38 to 44, and the way he's developing the relationship between Selina and Bruce, and also acknowledging their history, I find it so hard to believe that they weren't supposed to get married. Like it just.
Oh, I agree.
I agree. When you read these stories, it really doesn't make sense that they didn't get married.
No, not at all.
Again, not like the most important problem on the earth, but from a reader's standpoint, it doesn't wash. It just doesn't. No. Now, having said that, I'm sure Tom has a plan, and I look forward to what that plan is. But I smell corporate.
Yeah.
Because
it
just the way he wrote these stories, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did recently finish the first Darth Vader series.
Oh,
I don't remember if I had mentioned that the last time I was on an episode, which was weeks ago now, it seems. Boy, was that fantastic. That was a lot of fun to read.
Now, that's the Kieran Gillen scripted series with Salvador.
Yeah, the first 26 issues.
LaRocca doing probably the greatest artwork of his career, as far as I'm concerned, in that series. And, I mean, his rendition of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about majestic, menacing grandeur.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see the folds in that leather. I mean, what work. But for me, Shane, that is one of the greatest Star Wars comics of all time.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm caught up to the same point in their releasing with the Star Wars main title. And then there was the 2 or 3 months that Marvel took away the digital codes for whatever issues you bought, and they were just giving you random stuff. So I have to dig those out and read them now, because I've been downloading these to my iPad and reading them at work on breaks or at night in bed for an issue or something like that. So I got to dig those 3 issues out, read them, and then get back on to downloading more issues to carry around. But yeah, it's been really good. I didn't start the regular Dr. Aphra series yet, but I loved what they did with her in the Star Wars book as well as the Darth Vader book.
Oh, I haven't read her series just because of I couldn't afford to add more books, but she's a vital supporting character, and her interplay with Vader is fascinating because she's not disrespectful towards him, but she is irreverent in a sense with him, and that's been a lot of fun to read too.
And she gets away with a lot more with Vader than many other characters.
Oh yes. And her R2 and Protocol droids, her astromech and oh my god, are they hilarious in an evil way.
Yeah. I mean, their dialogue is clearly Gillen has such a hoot with that because you know they're programmed to revel in torturing people.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, those are 20. I'm looking here. All 25 issues of that are on the Marvel Unlimited app. So that sounds like good reading to me, especially since it's Kieran Gillen, and I've heard such positive things from you guys.
If you're a Star Wars fan, speaking to the audience, and if you have not read these comics, like Ian just recommended, please do yourself a favor. And of course, Gillen is now writing the main Star Wars title, which took over from Jason Aaron. And as I've mentioned in the past, the transition is seamless. It's still one of Marvel's best books, I think. Period. Not just a great Star Wars comic, but the artwork is consistently great, and just the eye for the detail for the movie's histories, and also the personalities of the characters and their interplay. It's so well done.
Yeah. So then, after I deleted all those issues that I had on there, I was scrolling through all the digital copies of Marvel stuff I do have, and here's something. This tells you I have way too many comics. I didn't realize, and I know exactly why I bought them now that I realized I have them. I bought the main mini-series, they were inside the Amazing Spider-Man, but I bought all the Spider-Verse issues, but I never read them. I forgot I had them. So now, having seen the Into the Spider-Verse movie, I downloaded all these issues to my iPad, and I read the first one today, and that was a lot of fun.
It's great.
I kind of chuckle at all these Earths in the multiverse of Marvel, when for years there was never any quote multiverse at Marvel. But I like how they're portraying this, so I'm going to have a good time reading these next few issues.
Well, one of my favorite moments from all the Spider-Verse issues and all the crossovers was when Miles Morales, cartoon Ultimate Spider-Man, so Ultimate Peter Parker from the cartoons, they're trying to recruit the 1960s Spider-Man. And they're swinging through Manhattan, and they can't find the Daily Bugle building because every building looks exactly the same. Until finally they find a building that looks exactly like everything else, only it just says Daily Bugle on it, and they know where they're going.
Oh, that's right. That reminds me of how wonderful they used the 60s Spider-Man at the end of the Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, yes.
Who the heck are you?
So good.
Murd, anything you're reading you want to shout out about?
Oh, happy to, Chris.
Please.
A couple of recent introductions from DC that I've been pretty excited to read. Both of them debuted at about the same time, or at least they're caught up to the same point now. Little something from Earth S, little something from Earth X. So first we've got the new Shazam series. Both of these series actually are ones that I was a little bit trepidatious about. You know, we looked at the first issues in the previous episodes in which they were introduced, and I was kind of hedging as to whether or not I'd actually be buying them. Wanted to preview them on the rack first before I bought, and I bought both of them, and I'm not upset with either of them. So Shazam, new release from the creative team of Jeff Johns and either Dale Eaglesham or whoever's filling in for Dale Eaglesham at the moment. He got only as far as the first issue. The second issue, you may have noticed, came out a full month late, and with art by somebody named, scrabbling for my copy here, Marco Santucci instead of Eaglesham inside. So it's I'm pleased with it so far. It's probably not it wouldn't have been my ideal take on the Marvel family here in the era of DC Rebirth, and also of a much more high-profile Captain Marvel character existing in the Marvel universe and cinematic universe. But at least it's one thing. It's not as grim dark. I'm happy to be able to say that. It's very lighthearted. It's all about the magic, and it's another theme that it seems to be taking is family. Because it's not just about Billy Batson as Captain Marvel, and we are teased at one point in the first issue with Billy actually adopting that as a name, but he's interrupted before he can say the whole thing. It's also about him and his little family of foster siblings who all live together in the same foster home. There are 6 of them all told, and all 6 of them wield some aspect of the power of Shazam. So it's It's a new take on the Marvel or Shazam family concept, but it's also kind of taking the Shazam concept back to prototype because before the publication of Whiz Comics #2 so long ago, there was the original idea by writer Bill Parker was to have 6 different characters, each of which would wield a different superpower. So they've kind of done that. So now Billy Batson's got this little gang of brothers and sisters that he can have adventures with. And the first arc shows them going on an adventure that's titled, it's a title that sounds like it came right out of a 1940s Captain Marvel comic, Shazam and the 7 Magic Lands. They go to the Rock of Eternity and they find the magic subway station that brought Billy to the Rock in the first place to get his powers. And they find a whole series of other subway tracks that lead to different realms of magic. And they all have fanciful names like the Wild Lands, the Game Lands, the Fun Lands, and so forth. And so the kids decide they're going to hop on one of these tram cars and go exploring. And that takes us through to the end of the second issue. Dr. Sivana's hanging around. He's magically empowered now, as per the Jeff Johns and Gary Frank Shazam backup story from Justice League a few years ago. Mr. Mind is partnering with him, and he's also magic-based now in this new Jeff Johns take on the Marvel mythos. And I'm really not sure how much I like the idea of taking these characters who were based in silly Golden Age pseudoscience and twisting them around to be rooted in magic now. I didn't think it was a good idea when they did it with Steve Ditko's The Question a few years ago. So I'm not sure if magical Savannah and Mr. Mind is going to sit that well with me long term either. But for now, it's fun. It's nice and light in tone. The Marvel families, Jeff Johns is using them as the basis for his exploration and reconstruction of magic in the DC universe. It looks like it's going to be a fun ride. It feels so far, just with these 2 issues, that I feel like it feels a little bit like it might have been this whole Shazam family thing could have been one of the features on the Croft Super Show back in the mid-'70s. It's just kind of these happy, upbeat young people with costumes and brightly colored costumes and powers and going on adventures in these magical realms populated by little people who might be people in costumes or puppet characters like Sid and Marty Krofft are known for developing. They might as well be going to Lidsville or Living Island. And at the end of the first issue, one of many interesting little revelations, innovations that Johns is hitting us with, we learned that there are more than just 6 Shazam elders. Apparently, not only the SHAZA and M of Shazam count, but the exclamation point also counts as is the name of a person. So there is some ancient god out there who goes by the name. I don't know if he's a god in some African tradition where they use the click language, and the exclamation point is often used as the way of notating that. Anyway. Longtime Captain Marvel fans will remember that there was actually at one point in the Golden Age a 7th Shazam elder. Agar, the renegade immortal, who was the main villain of the Cult of the Curse serial back in the 40s. I'm pretty sure the exclamation point guy isn't going to turn out to be him. But I think in issue number 3, we're going to start learning a little bit more about that. So, the first 2 issues of Shazam, it's a lighthearted fantasy, and it does meet with my approval. And I think I'm definitely going to stick with this series. It's got some real potential.
So Murd, is the 6 kids with power, that's sort of similar to what happened in Flashpoint, isn't it? If memory serves, Captain Marvel was 6 kids that combined into one in that?
Right. But there's that S exclamation point, etc. Yeah, it's something like that. They don't all combine into a single person, but it is 6 people, each of whom wields some facet of the Shazam power. Like there's a girl named Darla who's faster than all the others, so she apparently is favored by Mercury. There's a kid named Pedro who becomes this gigantic Herculean figure of mountain of muscle with a beard, and they all have color-coded costumes. Also, each one of them has a slightly different colored costume. Darla has a purple costume. Pedro, the muscle man, has a green costume.
The Mighty Morphin Shazam Rangers.
Oh. Well, Murd, that's high praise. I want to mention to our listeners, if you haven't listened to Murd's series of spotlights on Captain Marvel in the Golden Age, please check those out because they are absolutely magnificent. And as only Murd can, he goes into entertaining detail to every facet of that legendary run. So, and Murd, I actually had a question for you.
Sure.
I know in the past DC could use the name Captain Marvel within the comic book stories. Are they no longer even doing that now?
They haven't for several years now, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, much to my regret, because to me the character's always going to be Captain Marvel. But I can sort of understand why they're shying away from it in this series. There is at least an in-story reason, namely that it's not just about Billy as Captain Marvel. It's about all 6 of them. So, but even in the first issue, they're kind of joking among themselves that they need to come up with better code names because they can't all just be Shazam, and especially because they can't say their own name without transforming. So hopefully Johns has something in mind to rectify this in the future.
I find it fascinating that that Shazam and Captain Marvel are literally coming out in theaters a month apart.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited for both those films, and you know, the trailers for Shazam. I mean, again, we're just going by the trailers, but it looks like they may have the right sense of levity for the character. You know, because it shouldn't be a dark story if they're going to do you know, classic Captain Marvel / Shazam. So I'm really psyched for that film because it looks like, and I'll emphasize that phrase, it looks like they really got to the core of what that character is supposed to be about. So very excited for that.
Yep, I would concur, Chris. You know, whatever else they may choose to do, and it looks like it's going to be based pretty heavily on the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank take on the character from a few years ago, like that story. Whatever they may do in that movie that, by my definition, would be called getting wrong. You know, I don't want to say whatever they get wrong, whatever I might feel that they get wrong. I do think one thing they're going to get very right is that sense of levity that you mentioned, Chris, and that's going to make it a fun movie. Even if I don't think it's the best Captain Marvel or Shazam movie they could have made, it will be fun. I'm convinced of that.
And Chris,
go ahead, Ian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Piggybacking off of that discussion, today actually it was officially announced that Matt Reeves' The Batman is set for June 25th, 2021.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And it will not star Ben Affleck.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we'd heard that the whole Batfleck thing has kind of gone down.
Yeah.
And wasn't Affleck supposed to be writing his own Batman movie? I assume that's not happening either?
Yeah, that was going to be this movie originally, Murd. And then he was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. He was going to direct, he wasn't going to direct, he was going to write, he wasn't going to write, but he was going to star, and now he's not even starring. So Matt Reeves is on the search for his new Batman. And production's supposed to start within the next couple of months on this, so we'll probably be hearing soon as to who will be playing the Batman in this. But considering that DC's cinematic universe is stepping away from, you know, cohesive universes like what Marvel's doing, I'm curious to see where this is going to fall and whether or not it's going to be in the, you know, in the same realm as the Joker movie that's coming out or something entirely different. Just we'll have to see which direction they're going to roll with this.
So, Ian, let me ask you, because you're more in touch with this stuff than I am, and thank you for bringing it up. So, Matt Reeves is the director, I assume.
Yes,
right?
he is. Yes.
Okay. And what are some of his credits that I might know that?
Let me check his IMDb real quick. It's a name that's slightly familiar to me. I think he may have actually worked with Ben Affleck in the past, if memory serves. But let's see here. He worked on. Go ahead.
I do wish Ben Affleck would have done at least one Batman movie. I enjoyed him as Batman in
concur.
Both the team up movie and Justice League. I thought his parts were pretty good.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. I think he did a good job of encapsulating the character. He was a writer on for War for the Planet of the Apes. He directed Cloverfield and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. He also wrote the movie Let Me In and a bunch of episodes of Felicity back in the day. So it looks like he's
diverse resume.
Yep. So it looks like he's of the J.J. Abrams crop. And also switched off into a bunch of other things over the years.
Well, it'll be interesting to see when they do make this film, what what version of Batman are we going to get? Are we going to get, a young Batman? Are they going to stay with the older, more grizzled Batman, which I really thought Affleck did a good job with. And Ian, you're saying that they're moving away from the more integrated film universe.
Yes. Yeah. At least that's what their executives said. And frankly, considering how much better the solo movies have done than their movies with a bunch of people in them, it doesn't surprise me. Justice League was a misstep. I think we all know that at this point, and so was Batman v Superman. And it felt like they were trying to force a universe, and I think what they're going to do now instead is just make some movies out of some damn good stories. And if they decide later on to tie them together into a bigger unit, they will. But for now, I think they're just going individual.
Okay.
Yep, they can always make a new DC EU later on and just claim that everything that came prior to Justice League was happening on a parallel Earth.
Exactly.
Well, yesterday we also saw a little teaser of a Birds of Prey movie coming out.
Yes, I did see that.
With Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask.
Oh, wow.
The Huntress, Black Canary's in it. I'm curious. I didn't know that it was that far along that there was going to be a teaser or anything like that. So, yeah, that was surprising to see that yesterday.
Speaking of teasers, and our old friend Ryan made me aware of this, did anybody see the Ghostbusters teaser?
Yes. Yep.
I did.
That's surprising.
I was not expecting them to be this far along. I mean, mind you, they haven't filmed anything yet, but
no.
It's at least putting their foot in the sand that it's going to happen by releasing a teaser. And I want to know, for one thing, who's coming back and what roles this is going to play. Because, I mean, the female-led Ghostbusters is off in another universe, so they don't need to worry about that. Whether or not this is going to be a tentpole to launch future movies or whether this is just going to be the conclusion of the Ghostbusters arc leaves me tantalized. I have no idea where they're going with this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm extremely excited.
Yeah, me too.
And by the way, that Birds of Prey movie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is playing Huntress in that one as well. So you may know her from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
As Ramona Flowers, and I think Rosie.
Rosie Perez. Yeah,
Rosie Perez in it as well as Renee Montoya.
Yeah. Oh, wow! Oh, what a great cast! Oh, That is superb casting. Oh, she's perfect for that role.
And Journey Smollett Bell is playing Black Canary. Who's I'm more familiar with her face than I am her work, but she was in Parenthood for a little bit. For anybody who watched that show. And she was Lisa Tyler in the Other Defenders. And Friday Night Lights, she had a role in as well. So she's been mostly a TV actress.
Well, we're on the subject of multimedia. Has anybody started watching Punisher Season 2?
No, I haven't even finished Season 1 yet.
Yep, I haven't even started Season 1 yet.
Okay, so all I'll say is, because I won't spoil anything, because I've watched the first 3 episodes of Season 2. I love Season 1. I mean, the new season is outstanding thus far. I read a quote from Jerry Conway, who, of course, is the co-creator of The Punisher back in the Bronze Age. And he was basically saying how he thinks Bernthal's captured the character better than any other version of the character that's been put to, film or television or what have you. And that continues very much in this season. And what's wonderful in the first episode, and all I'll say is, they give Frank Castle a moment where he could actually have a happy, normal life. And it's wrenched away.
Oh.
And what's great about Bernthal's performance is that, I mean, he's extremely brutal. I mean, the violence was there in Season 1 is certainly there in Season 2. And, not someone you want to mess with in any way, shape, or form. And they establish, right after they wrench that away, you see the Punisher go to work, and it's brutal. But the fact that he can capture beneath that violence just the struggle within this man and what he's lost and what he's trying to deal with, it's so well done. And I mean, the show may be too graphic for some people because it is extremely graphic. But But it's another example of how they've taken the concept from the comic and they've realized it so well, in other media. And I've read a lot of Punisher comics over the years. Some I've loved, some I haven't. Sometimes the character comes off as a little two-dimensional in some of the comic books. But boy, in this rendition, he is a fully formed three-dimensional character and a complex character who you both feel for and are also really uncomfortable around. and I think that's the essence of the Punisher, basically. So it's wow. So far, the second season's just been fantastic.
Now I know Karen Page is supposed to be showing up again. Have you gotten to that in the series yet?
Who is? I missed that name. I'm sorry.
Karen Page.
Not yet.
Okay.
But that wouldn't surprise me because she was such an important player in the first season.
Yeah.
So
that may very well be her last appearance if they don't wind up doing anything with the characters after this, or at least the last appearance for a while.
They got to bring Daredevil back.
Yeah. I know.
I mean that without spoiling, because some of us haven't watched that third season of Daredevil was sublime. It was so good.
Yeah.
Come on, Disney. don't be too namby-pamby where we can't it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be PG or G rated. You can, come on. Bring it back. It's so well done. I want to see more Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Your mouth to ears.
I got to see Glass the other day.
Oh, how was it?
So have all of you seen Unbreakable and Split?
I've seen Unbreakable. I have not seen Split, but I watched online the little few minute segment that ties them together.
Okay. I would definitely say, Shane, watch Split before you see Glass. Definitely.
Okay.
I know it's available. It was available for a while on HBO. I don't know if it still is, but you can get it for $3 or $4 as a rental if need be.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thrilled with Glass. I'd say I enjoy 3/4 of the movie, and then the ending had me a little flat. But it certainly did not go to the direction that I thought it was going to go, for good or for ill. M. Night never does what you expect him to do. Let's just put it that way. And he definitely did not do that here. At the same time, I don't know if there's going to be anything else after this, especially with the way that this movie ends. No spoilers whatsoever on what's happening, because frankly, if I were to spoil it, it would give away too much. But I'll just say that I wasn't as thrilled with this as I was with Split, but I understood why he chose to go this direction. I just wish at times it made a little bit more sense, and I wish he had a little bit more budget, because the fights that we do get are a little bit subdued, considering that he self-financed this.
Ian, it's funny you mention that, because when I read the review in the Times, the review basically echoed what you just said, that the reviewer felt the movie kind of fell flat in the latter part, and that they felt that there clearly were budgetary issues as well.
Yeah.
It was part of a larger article actually about the director sort of returning, trying to kind of find his feet again. The whole article was about sort of him. I don't know if returning to a form is the right way to put it, but it was kind of looking back on his career and how it kind of went off the deep end for a while, and then they're talking about how he's maybe sort of finding his feet again as a director, as I said before. I mean, did you get that sense from this movie, or?
I've had that. I felt that for his last 3 movies, honestly.
Okay.
He was basically blackballed from Hollywood after Last Airbender, and frankly, he should have been, because that movie was.
I never recovered from The Lady in the Water. So
Oof. No, Lady in the Water was bad. Last Airbender was tragic. Talk about completely missing the point of a franchise. That's what he did there. He could have made something that was fun, enjoyable, and had an overarching narrative to it, and it was just lifeless, and it just completely missed the point of the whole damn thing, and it really soured me on him as a whole for a while there. And I only went to see Split because my friends were telling me, you got to see Split, you got to see Split, you got to see Split. And then when I did, it was easily the best movie that he had made in years. And Glass it's not terrible. It just feels like it could have been more. And I wonder what he's going to do as a director after this, now that he's back in Hollywood's good graces, because this movie's going to make over $300 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and he made it for chump change, basically.
Well, I loved his early film, so I'm happy to hear that, because I haven't seen Split yet. I definitely want to, and you further encourage that now. I have to share, because it's just one of my all-time favorite going to the movies anecdotes. Mm-hmm. When I went to see Lady in the Water, is it Lady in the Water or Lady in the Water? I forgot.
Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water, okay. So great cast. One of my all-time favorite actors, Paul Giamatti, is in it. And I went with a friend, years ago when it came out. And I'm sure we'll have those moments where you're watching a movie and it's so bad, far worse than you ever anticipated, that you kind of lose control of some of your bodily functions. and the movie was so off the chart bad for me that I started to laugh uncontrollably in the theater. This is even worse than I went to see Ghost Rider, because I knew Ghost Rider was going to be bad. I had higher expectations, and I remember my friend just staring at me, just losing it, because I started tears streaming down my face, because I started to twitch in my seat, because I'm this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and the part where I nearly had to go to the bathroom was when, Hitchcock, he puts himself in all of his movies, which I like when directors do that sometimes, but he then made his character this writer whose work will change the world, and I think at that point I actually did have to go to the bathroom because I was just collapsing completely. It's one of my favorite bad movie experiences of all time.
When I went to see The Village, which was his movie before Lady in the Water,
yep.
When we got to the twist of that movie, I had to stop myself from screaming out loud, "Are you kidding me?" Because I just found it so contrived and so stupid. That I completely and mind you, I almost feel like I have to rewatch it at some point just to see if now that I'm older, I would think differently of it. It's just I went into it expecting one thing, and it just completely fell flat for me on so many levels, and I'm happy to see him back, above that now, because oof.
Yeah, me too. I definitely have to see Split because I've heard nothing but good things, and you've added to that.
Yes,
exactly.
And it's not a spoiler for Split to say that James McAvoy is the only person to ever play both Professor Xavier and the Beast, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I get it.
You've seen Split, Murd, right?
No, but I have an idea what it's about,
okay.
So I know to what you refer.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, great. Yeah. And I did see Aquaman a second time, by the way.
Oh, so how did you react to it the second time?
To be honest,
better or
I may have actually been slightly worse. And I don't know. I don't think it's a rewatchable movie for me. I don't. I went to see it while I was in Florida because my girlfriend had not seen it, and neither had her mother. So we went to a $5 showing on a Tuesday at a very lovely theater and nearby her house in Winter Haven. And I don't know, because I knew it was coming already. My problems with it, I'm not gonna rehash our entire review. It's just I thought the script was lacking, and I noticed that a lot more the second time around. I still had fun. It's just it didn't engage me nearly as much the second time around because I knew all the visual cues and I knew all of that already. So didn't hit me nearly as well. I may even drop it down to a 3 because I think I gave it a 3.5 the first time around. But it's still an enjoyable movie. It's just it's not rewatchable for me.
Yeah, I'd say one of the greatest strengths, if strength it can be called, of the Aquaman movie is its pacing. It just kind of rushes you along at tidal force through all of its various improbable or ill-conceived developments, and it's just it keeps you moving so quickly that neither you nor Aquaman, the main character, has much chance to think about what's going on because subjected to critical. It doesn't stand up, as you know. And I guess the second time through, you knew where all the different beats were coming, and you had more chance to kind of crane your neck out of the roller coaster car and see the attractions for the shabby things that they were.
Pretty much, pretty much. Shane, did you see it?
Yeah, I loved it. For being a fun superhero popcorn movie, yeah. I thought it took a little bit too much out of what I thought of as Thor Ragnarok. Some of the beats that movie goes through, I thought, oh, well, this kind of reminds me of that, and oh, well, this kind of reminds me of that, but it was still visually pleasing and just a fun movie. I'm glad it did better than some of the other things DC's come out with lately. But yeah, I had a good time watching it. I'll watch it again when it comes out on video. I don't know that I'll make it back to the theater to see it, but I enjoyed it well enough. And my younger son went with me. He thought the beginning was very slow, where they're going through his origin and explaining Mera and Aquaman's dad. And I don't disagree with him, but I liked that they put that in there. But he liked once it started to pick up pace and all the action that was going through. Yeah,
no, I could see that. Yeah, it's.
Speaking of movies, I'm sorry, Ian, go ahead.
No, please go right ahead.
One thing I meant to talk about this when we were giving our tribute to Stan Lee a while back, and I forgot about it. It's tied into film, in that right after he passed, the New York Times published a story conceived by Brian Michael Bendis, where he's talking about his interactions with Stan Lee and how he first met him as a kid, essentially. It's extremely moving. And then at the end, he talks about how, as a well-known professional comic book writer, he had a meeting with Stan Lee, and he was talking about in the story how Stan Lee was telling him, he admitted to Bendis that, my eyesight is so bad, I can't actually watch any of the Marvel films.
Yeah.
He basically said to Bendis, all I see are just like, hazy images. And then he said to him, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, but he's saying that he said to Bendis, I heard Winter Soldier was really exceptional, and I'm just bummed out that I really wasn't able to watch it. And that really struck me and moved me. Granted, it really had nothing to do with the creation of Captain America and Bucky and so forth, but still, it was a very poignant tribute by someone who actually knew Lee and worked with him. And Bendis talks about how when he was a kid, he was at some kind of public event where Lee was there, and how Lee spoke to him and how much it meant to Bendis. And he felt like, like in other words, like Lee wasn't a fraud. Like he was acting the way he thought he would act. And I remember Kevin had the same story, Kevin Moyer, when he met Lee at a convention. It's just, if you go to New York Times, their search engine, you do like Bendis or Stan Lee, I'm sure it'll come up. But it was a very poignant, tribute from one of the top creators in the field today. Just talking about what Stan Lee meant to him. But that anecdote about I can't really see these films, that really got to me. And I just wanted to share.
That's unfortunately the ravages of age right there. It's and he certainly still had his wits about him and his strength of spirit.
Oh yeah.
But I can't imagine someone who's so visually based. Even if he wasn't an artist, he was a writer of so many visually stunning pieces that I can't imagine what that must have been like to be losing that much of his sight at that age. Yeah.
A little funny Stan Lee anecdote that I just came across today. I was scrolling, of course, through Facebook or something, and a little clip from one of the Hulk telemovies was on. Trial of the Hulk or something. He's in a courtroom. Yeah. And I know I've seen it before, but I completely would not have realized this back then. As they pan around the jurors, there's Stan Lee sitting in the juror box as one of the jurors listening to the trial. So all the way back then, even, he was cameoing in this stuff, which I didn't realize back then. That was funny. A riot.
That's funny. I think that may have been in the compilation that I saw on YouTube, because they have a compilation of like all Stan Lee appearances in media. And I think they may have included that because they even included the animated stuff along with the TV. So
that's got to be a lengthy clip.
Yeah.
Oh,
in fact,
it is.
he was. I think he was a Shield tech in the original David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury television
You're right.
film.
I think you're right.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen that. What was that? 20 years ago or something like that? But
It is now. Yeah. 20 years ago now.
that is majestically atrocious. My God.
Speaking of Bendis, I actually started reading his. I'm catching up on old comics to try to get ready for the best of 2018 show. Which before I even start talking, Merge, you want to remind the folks out there about it?
Thank you for the segue, Ian. Yes, as chairman of the Comic Geek Speak Academy of Arts and Sciences, I'm pleased once again to announce the upcoming Comic Geek Speak Best of 2018 Awards, in which we fecht what we consider to be the best of comic books from last year. And we're soliciting nominations in 16 different categories from you, the CGS listeners. Please go to thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com for more information. Just go to the On Topic forum. There will be a thread there. It's sticky to the top of the page, headed the CGS Best of 2018 nominations thread. Go there. You'll see a list of the 16 categories and instructions on how you can submit your nominations. Please email them to us by February 10th. The end of the day, Eastern Standard Time on that day, which, as of this recording, is about a week and a half away. So there is still time. Your participation is very important, listeners. We'd like you to make your voice heard, especially since you collectively are guaranteed to have read a more diverse field of comics than we have. So we would like to know what you enjoyed this past year. Always makes for a rollicking good episode of conversation when those nominations are revealed. So please do take part.
Hear, hear. And the reason I was even thinking about that was I read the first 2 issues of Bendis' Man of Steel miniseries, starting his time on Superman, and I also read his first issue of Superman. I read the Superman, then I'm going back and read the Man of Steel. I definitely enjoyed the Superman issue more than the Man of Steel miniseries so far.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Man of Steel's moving a little bit slow for me, and I can see that he was basically using it to plant the seeds for his actual run. And to be honest, I don't really think it deserves. When you have a miniseries called Man of Steel, I'm expecting it to be like world building and changing for the character of Superman, and I don't really think it deserves to be that. These would have worked just fine as the first issues of his run on Superman and Action Comics. I don't think it really needed to be its own miniseries. At the same time, though, I do appreciate some of the things that are being introduced there, like Lois is missing, and we don't exactly know what happened. So is Jonathan, and also introduces the new destroyer of Krypton, which I'm sure will totally stick and be used for years to come. But for now, this is the current way that Krypton was destroyed. And I do like the interaction between that villain and, say, for example, the Guardians of the Universe and things like that. That's actually very intriguing to me. Art by Ivan Hayes and a bunch of other stalwarts is exceptional. It's just moving a little bit slow for me. I'm going to finish it definitely over the next day or two, and then jump into his Superman and Action Comics, which I hear has been much better. But it's a decent start for his time on Superman, and I'm definitely looking for more, because that first Superman issue that I read was actually really good. So has me intrigued.
Gentlemen, I have to depart soon. Do you mind if I talk about another book I just read that I wanted to share?
Sure.
With the audience. Planet of the Apes: The Simian Age, which came off from Boom. Boom has the Planet of the Apes license, and this is it's a $7.99 book, so it's like almost like a prestige format type comic, and they did a series of stories about the humans in the world of the Planet of the Apes, and this book is obviously from the ape perspective. I've only read 2 of the 3 stories, but I got to tell you, just outstanding. The first story, written by Jeff Jensen, illustrated by Jared Cullum, lettered by Ed Dukeshire, very interesting because The story is about a chimpanzee, a female chimpanzee, who this doesn't really jive with the movie, but what the hell, it's still a good story, who lives in the Statue of Liberty as like a lighthouse keeper, essentially. And it's about how she runs into one of the mutants who lives in the remnants of Manhattan that you see in the second Planet of the Apes film, and sort of how they interact and what happens. It's extremely well done. Again, it doesn't jive because, the apes weren't supposed to know about the Statue of Liberty because it was in the Forbidden Zone, but it's a really interesting story, and it's beautifully – it's almost like – I think it looks like it's watercolor. It's beautifully drawn. And the second story is written by Matt Kinn, so that's enough. Illustrated by Matt Smith, colored by Joanna LaFuente, lettered by Ed Dukeshire again, called Apex. And this is from the perspective of the guerrilla soldiers. And it's about a guerrilla soldier who's – let's just say his perspective on what is his duty changes because of his missions into where the humans are. Also extremely well done. I love stories that, take on like regimented organizations like a military and how people in that are challenged by what they see that sort of, challenges that regimentation. Also extremely well done. I haven't read the third story yet, which takes place in the universe of the new films. But Boom has done, since they've had the Planet of the Apes license, they've done just wonderful work. And I'm a lover of that universe, and there's a lot of great comics have been produced by Boom. So if you're a Planet of the Apes fan, I recommend this. It's called The Simian Age. I recommend all the stuff Boom's done with the property because overall it's really been outstanding. So
sounds good.
Just want to throw that out there. I have to depart soon, gentlemen. I apologize for that, but it's midterms for me, so I have a lot of work I have to get back to.
Not a problem.
But I wish you all a wonderful evening.
Same here.
Gentlemen, life is better when I'm on the line with all of you.
Stay warm, sir.
You too, brothers. And I'll talk to you all soon. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Well, what better time to do this since we're transitioning?
Great.
Oh, it's time. Once again, it is time for Muddle the Murd.
Testify, Brother Ian. Testify.
Yeehaw. And the Muddle the Murd segment is, of course, that time where you, the listener, get to challenge Mr. Adam Murdo with 3 questions of your choosing. One pre-1970s, one 1970s to 2000, and one 2000 to present. DC, Marvel, and Independent. And this time, your challenger is Lee Markowitz. Lee Markowitz, listener of the program. And I know you're not in the studio, Murd, but do you happen to know what our prize is?
Actually, yes, I pre-selected it so I can inform Mr. Markowitz that he is playing for a Betty Page pinup sketch, cartooned by that Duchess of Dourness and Adorability, Katie Cook.
Nice. Very cool.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. Well, here is his attempt. Hello, CGS crew. Here are a few questions to use in a vain attempt to muddle the Murd. Good luck, Murd.
Is it vain? Only time will tell.
Mwahaha. We begin with pre-1970, and he goes independent for his pre-1970. What is the name of the general that is a friend of Tintin and is the occasional dictator of the fictional San Theodoros in such Tintin adventures as The Broken Ear and The Red Sea Sharks?
I have never read a Tintin story in my life, so I have no answer to this question.
Well, the answer to that, actually, Shane, have you read any Tintin? You got any ideas?
No, not at all. I know of them. I've seen some things, but I've never sat down to read an issue.
Never even seen the movie.
All right. Well, the movie is excellent, by the way, if you ever get a chance. General Alcazar is the name. General Alcazar.
Would you have known that, Ian?
No, I would not. But The Broken Ear is from 1935, and the Red Sea Sharks was from 1956. So that's a large span there.
Yeah.
But they're both before 1970, so.
Yes, they are. Well, question number 2, 1970 to 2000s, DC Comics. In Starman number 13, cover date November 1995, which Batman villain is contacted by the Mist to kill Ted Knight, but is instead defeated by the Golden Age hero?
All right, which Batman villain? Yeah, this is the Will Payton series. I think we're talking. Oh, wait a minute. No, wait.
No,
it isn't. This is okay. In that case, I know exactly what the answer is. It's Dr. Phosphorus.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's an Underworld Unleashed crossover. Yeah, I thought we were talking about the Will Payton series for a minute there. There was a little. I mean, Ted Knight was lost in limbo during that time, but we did get that. That's when David Knight, his older son, was first introduced.
Yep.
For a second there, I thought we were dealing with that period of Starman history and lore, but nope. It was that.
You are correct, sir.
Shane, would you have gotten that one?
No, I was frantically thinking because I just read those maybe 6 months ago, and then I took a hiatus. I was up to like issue, I was in the 30s or 40s, and I took a hiatus to read some other stuff, the Star Wars stuff. But yeah, I would have forgotten. Was racking my brain trying to go through Batman villains quick.
Yeah, that was, as I said, it was an Underworld Unleashed crossover, and Dr. Phosphorus was one of the bad guys who received a demonic upgrade from Neuron, which brought his corrosive superpowers more under control, so that he, instead of stomping around in jorts like the Hulk, basically, he was able to affect like a 1930s tailored suit and walk around swaggering and talking like an old Warner Brothers mob movie gunsel. Very Robinsonian twist on the character.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I meant James Robinson, but yeah, Edward G. Robinson too. Yeah.
2000 to present Marvel Comics. In Captain America number 4, cover date of April 2005, the headstones belonging to 2 former Captain Americans, or Captain Americas, are vandalized. Name the 2 former Captain Americas that these headstones belong to. Real names or code names will suffice.
All right. I'm going to say Jeff Mace and William Naslund.
You are correct, sir.
Woo!
Excellent.
Those would be the Golden Age heroes formerly known as the Patriot and the Spirit of 76. Although, actually, Spirit of 76 was not an authentic Golden Age character. He was a retcon created by Roy Thomas. But anyway, yeah, they were characters that briefly assumed the mantle of Cap after Cap was frozen and lost in suspended animation for years, as established by Roy Thomas in What If back in the 70s.
Very good, very good. You are unmuddled,
Very
sir.
cool.
So, yes, I'm afraid Lee was correct that this attempt was in vain, but thank you very much for making it, Lee. It was great fun.
And he's not too far from your neck of the woods. He's from Havertown.
Yeah. I was able to avert my eyes from the questions, but I did see in his sig line that he was from Havertown. So nice to know that there's some folks not too far away from Berks County playing along with us at home.
Very good, very good. All right, gentlemen, what else we got on the docket?
So there are 2 things I wanted to mention. First, I was going to Walmart and getting the DC 100-page Giants for a while. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I was going to cut it down to just Justice League because that's my favorite book, so I'll just get Justice League. Like 2 days after I make that decision, I get the announcement that they're stopping Justice League and renaming it Wonder Woman. Okay. So that was disappointing, but that made my decision easier. So I kind of cut all that out for now, and maybe I'll go back and get Batman or something. I don't know, but I gave up on that for the moment. And then I saw that Target's going to start carrying 100-page Giants from DC, but it's going to be all new content. Now, the Walmart ones have 8 pages, I think, in the beginning that are new content, and then the rest is all reprints. And that's fine because some of it's been really interesting and neat selections that. Some of which I don't own anymore. So it was neat to pick up this and see these old issues that I've read and loved. Their issues at Walmart are $5 a piece. The Target ones will be $10 a piece, but they're all new content. I'm curious to see what comes of that. I don't know that that's the cheapest price in the world, but I understand it's still a good price for 100 pages of new content.
Sure.
If it's good stories, good creators, good art, good writing. We'll see. But I saw the first one was part of I think it's Target's exclusive line, the Funko DC figures that look kind of like He-Man figures. Oh gosh, they're like alternate universe.
Oh, I know
Batman,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I just can't think of what they're calling them. I did see that 100-page giant there, and it was $10, all new content, and that's fine. But I'm curious to see what more mainstream characters and things they do with future endeavors.
Yeah, no, that is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why they chose to rename Justice League to Wonder Woman. I guess they have more Wonder Woman stories in the pipeline.
And yeah, I guess I was expecting rotation from characters that were part of Justice League to be that front runner, and maybe Wonder Woman this month and somebody else the next month, and so on and so forth, and then back to Wonder Woman. But maybe the Wonder Woman part was just so popular they decided to do away with the Justice League part.
Or maybe it's just because the Wonder Woman movie was so much more popular than the Justice League movie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely could be.
That is certainly a possibility.
The other thing I wanted to mention was I came across a video on Facebook, I think produced by the Sci-Fi Channel, 10 minutes long about. It is a fantastic thing to search out and view. They interview and go into, oh my God, I think it's John Byrne's studio. And it is phenomenal. The amount of collectibles and artwork he has in that studio is just absolutely beautiful. Mm-hmm. I was mesmerized. All the action figures, all the little sections of Batman, Wonder Woman. He talks about all kinds of stuff. It was really fascinating.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to go onto my feed and see what it was now to correct myself before I yak anymore and screw it up.
Well, while you're looking that up, no, go ahead.
It is John Byrne. I saw it on the George Perez website that's on Facebook.
Nice.
And it is just fascinating. If you get a chance, you have 10, 15 minutes, definitely look it up and watch it. He's got some really interesting, neat things in his studio. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I really wouldn't have pegged Byrne for a toy collector, but
oh my God, he has such. I was amazed. I didn't either. He has such a passion for the medium. He talks about when he was 6 years old, living in England, and the first issue of this that he got that featured a Batman story that made him fall in love with Batman, and this what looked like a Superman annual that he got back then that made him fall in love with Superman, and just the way he got into comics and his passion for the medium and artwork and toys and collecting, it was really neat. I really enjoyed it. I want to watch it a couple more times. It's good stuff.
That sounds amazing. I may very well watch it the minute we're done recording.
Yeah, I had no idea he was such a fan of the medium like that.
Yeah, well, considering how curmudgeon-y he tends to be, I mean, it doesn't mean he doesn't love the medium. Considering how many different characters he's worked on over the years and how many different universes he's had his foot in, it's nice to see that he still has some levity in his life and that he enjoys things as much as he does.
Yeah, it was really something to watch.
Very cool. So you mentioned Walmart, and then suddenly I get a notification on my phone. Things you may find at Walmart are animated series, but hey, animated movie Batman Beyond is apparently happening.
Oh, really?
This is literally an hour old from when we're recording this. That there is supposedly a animated Batman Beyond movie in the works at Warner Brothers on the heels of how well Into the Spider-Verse went. So it's not going to be a continuation of the series. It's going to be at least from what reports are saying, a wide release take on Terry McGinnis to be released in theaters, rebooting the character.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I had no idea this was happening. So now that that's a thing that may potentially happen, I'm very, very happy.
I love that series. It was such a great story, great way to continue the legacy of Batman and storytelling, and to have Bruce in there as an elderly mentor, Barbara in as the commissioner. It's such a great series.
Definitely. Yeah. And if this is anywhere near as good as what Into the Spider-Verse was, then I'll be sold.
God, that I'll tell you what, that Into the Spider-Verse, I knew I'd like it just because it's a fun-looking animated Spider-Man movie, but I had no idea how good that was going to be. That absolutely blew the doors away.
Have you gotten to see it yet, Murd?
Yeah, I actually saw it several weeks ago.
Oh, good.
It was, after Chris and I finished recording our Spotlight on the Submariner episode a few Saturdays ago. I just kind of it was the Saturday between Christmas and New Year's because the theater was pretty packed, and I got there a few minutes after they started rolling the previews and trailers. So because of that, they actually allowed me to sit in the handicapped access seat in the back row.
Nice.
Okay.
So I sat there and I had a very enjoyable cinematic experience. It was enjoyable. It was humorous. The animation was just visually. It was kind of mind blowing, really. I'm still not sure exactly what process or combination of processes they used to arrive at that look, but it was really great. The chemistry between the elder Peter Parker and young Miles Morales was enjoyable to see. It's just I do kind of wish they'd done a little bit more with some of the alternate Spider people, like Penny Parker, Spider Noir, and of course the sporktacular Spider Ham. As we've all been marveling to ourselves for weeks or months now, just how incredible it is that we finally got to see Spider-Man on the big screen. But it seemed to me like they were primarily just there to further the point that there are far crazier things for Spider-Man to be than a mixed-race kid from Brooklyn.
Sure.
So, that's... and they did hit that point pretty hard. Anyone can wear the mask. And I don't necessarily agree that just anyone can wear the mask. You do need powers, for one thing, and you do need a certain sense of power and responsibility and all of that. But the basic message that race, gender, etc. need not be any barrier to heroism or to spider heroism. I certainly go along with that. Yeah. So it was it's a positive message, and they're just told in a visual feast, just loaded with little nuggets for the longtime comic book fans, right from the gigantic Comics Code Authority symbol that appeared on screen at the very beginning. That was enough to tell us in the theater that this movie was kind of aimed not exclusively at us, but certainly at us, the longtime comic book fans, and that there were things in here that only we would get.
Yeah.
Liv Schreiber, he's sort of developing a little sideline here as playing larger than life but flatter than paper villains in animated feature films. He was the Storm King in the My Little Pony movie, and that wasn't really a well-developed character either. So his Kingpin here was basically just a giant blob of not a blob of pixels, we'll call it, on the screen, and a silly accent. He was just kind of there to provide the impetus for the action of the movie, and the cheap excuse for all these different multiversal versions of Spider-Man to come together and meet and fight a common foe. I do think there were a couple of spots near the end of the film where the action kind of becomes a little bit I don't know, predictable might be the word. I was disappointed in the other Spider people for not allowing Miles Morales to just do the simple thing of operating the machinery and letting them all go home without one of them having to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
And tying him to a chair and saying, "Listen, kid, you got to sit this one out." It's like, we've seen that done before, disrespecting the noob hero. It seems like of all characters, Spider-Man, whatever version of Spider-Man from whatever universe, knows what it's like to be the inexperienced hero on the block. And I just don't see any version of Spider-Man doing that to any other version of Spider-Man. So that was kind of a disappointing development.
True.
But it was one of very few things that displeased me about the movie. I would definitely give it a 4 frickin' swear rating.
Yeah. I liked Lily Tomlin as Aunt May.
Oh, she was great. Yeah.
That blew me away. I kept listening. I'm like, I know that voice. Looked it up after the movie, and man, that was just fantastic.
Yes, that was outstanding casting. I mean, it's far, far better than Marissa Tomei. It's enough said. No ageism there. And she was the perfect choice for that role.
Did we discuss on the show the first Spider-Man trailer for the new movie?
I don't know. Not that I remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have.
Well, what'd you guys think of it? Spider-Man long way from home, right? Or long from home, or
far from home.
Far from home. There we go.
Yeah. Well, Mysterio, big thumbs up. Aunt Tomei flirting with Happy Hogan, big thumbs down.
Yes. Yep. Aunt Tomei, I love it.
I wish I could take credit for it, Ian.
That's forever what she's going to be called in my head now. Now that you've said that, though.
Happy to have been an influence.
Yes, and I mean, just to quote unquote spoil a trailer. I'm almost certain that's not really Nick Fury.
I've read that too, and I am assuming it's Mysterio doing something, or maybe somebody else. But yeah, I wasn't sure at first either, but after reading so many other people say, "Nah, I don't think that's him," I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly we're supposed to get Maria Hill in this movie too. And I mean, I don't know if they're going to somehow work into they're both not really who they say they are. It's just it seems too easy for him not to just be Mysterio in disguise, or maybe we'll get back and forth real Nick Fury and fake Nick Fury giving him false information or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Could be Mysterio in cahoots with the Chameleon too.
That's a possibility. I didn't even think about that. Man, if we get Chameleon and Mysterio in the same movie.
Yeah.
But
trust nothing you see.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know that Mysterio was showing up in this one. Maybe others did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Jake Gyllenhaal was in it. But as soon as he landed and the smoke cleared, I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be Mysterio. my mouth just dropped.
Well, I'm glad to have Jake Gyllenhaal involved with a Spider-Man franchise, considering he almost took over Tobey Maguire's role back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of that, Murd, but there was a point in the filming of I think Spider-Man 2 where Tobey Maguire injured his back, and they were actually considering replacing Tobey Maguire with Jake Gyllenhaal in order to get the filming underway. But I guess Tobey recovered enough for them to go forward with it.
Well, that lends a whole meta subtext then to Jake Gyllenhaal as the embittered wannabe hero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. And what did you guys think of the new costume, the black?
Oh, I like it. I don't necessarily like that they have to change or feel they need to change Spider-Man's costume every single time he shows up.
That's true.
But if they do, they do.
Yeah. It's a cool accent, and it gets it a little bit closer to the original costume that Alex Ross sketched for a potential Spider-Man movie back in the day. So that's a cool touch, I guess. But it's yet another costume for them to put in the video game. So go figure.
Yep.
Oh, did you say it's better than the costume from the video game?
No. I said it's another costume for them to put into the video game.
Okay.
Since that one of the main things about the Spider-Man video game is that almost every single costume Spider-Man's ever worn has wound up in that, including the Bagman costume, the most recent edition.
The bombastic Bagman.
Yes. They included both the Future Foundation and the Bagman costume in the most recent update. So
cool.
Go figure.
That's cutting deep.
It is. It is indeed.
Yep. I've just called up some images of that new Far From Home film costume, and I definitely see the Alex Ross influence there.
Yeah.
Sort of the sheen on the mask's eye holes and the giant spider dominating the chest. You're absolutely right, Ian.
Yeah.
Looks like.
I'm assuming that's where they drew the inspiration from, but if not, then, lucky coincidence. All right, gentlemen, anything else?
No, other than that, I'm spent. I guess other to say, I don't know if I was on the show to talk about it. I know Adam and I talked about it briefly at one point with previous attempts to record, but I read the first issue of Young Justice and loved it.
Good to hear.
What a load of fun that was.
Yes, it was.
I'm very excited to see what they do with that series.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, and I'm looking forward to. Have you watched the animated at all? The new season?
I have. I've watched all of it. I loved it. I think they're doing a great job. I'm surprised that they released 3 episodes a week and then 4 episodes that last week, and now there's a little break. I would have thought maybe 2 episodes a week to go 7 weeks, but what do I know? I just enjoyed watching it and loving that it's been back.
Yeah, I've decided I'm going to wait until the entire season is out, and then I'll finally get the DC streaming app, and binge watch Teen Titans and binge watch Young Justice. I think that's probably the easiest way for me to do it.
Probably.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad you're enjoying it because I've heard very positive things about it.
It's like it never left. It's just beautiful. I mean, the characters they're bringing in. The animation's the same. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. All right.
A couple more tidbits from me here before we sign off.
Sure.
One further note about the Matt Reeves Batman movie, which I believe you mentioned was going to be entitled The Batman. Ian?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, that's fitting because we're presumed to that title. I saw something on Facebook today, a little snippet from Reeves himself, I think, that mentioned that that movie is going to focus on Batman as world's greatest detective.
Ooh,
sort of play up that aspect of the character, which has been somewhat neglected. So it's going to be like a noir-style mystery tale. Okay. We're going to see things unfold a little more from Batman's POV as he tries to solve the crime. So that's kind of an early statement from the filmmaker about what he has in mind to do, his early vision for this movie. So that sounds like something I'm definitely going to want to see.
Oh, definitely. And it makes me think even further that they may perhaps go older with the casting because you would think a well-seasoned detective has been in it for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Hard-boiled private detective.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, so and then of course the title The Batman sort of evokes it's. Back in the 70s, it was kind of the mark of an old-school Batman fan to refer to the character as the Batman, harkening back to its golden age, pre-Adam West, pre-Jack Schiff 60s silliness, original incarnation.
Sure.
So, yeah, good. Well-chosen title there by Mr. Reeves. And I mentioned earlier that I had a little bit of Earth S and a little bit of Earth X to talk about. So Chris had wondered a while ago what my reaction was going to be to the Freedom Fighters maxi series that DC is putting out right now by Rob Venditti and Eddie Barrows. Well, Chris isn't here to hear my reaction, so I'll keep it short and sweet. But after having read the first 2 issues, I am in favor of it. It's set on Earth X again, not Earth 10, which is what the Freedom Fighters Earth is supposed to be in the current multiverse. So
interesting.
Yeah, it is. Got to wonder if there's maybe more than one multiverse floating around right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's happening on Earth X, and it's about a group of present-day freedom fighters who, 55 years after the original freedom fighters of Earth X were captured and executed, are trying to rekindle the flame of liberty and liberate the United States of Earth X from the rule of the nearly all-powerful Fourth Reich.
So similar to the Crisis on Earth X crossover from last year in the TV show.
It is something like that, except there's no help on the horizon from Earth 1. I'm pretty sure this is all going to be kept in-house, as it were, for Earth X. So far, there have been only former Golden Age quality comics characters making appearances. No Nazi Justice Leaguers, unless you count Plastic Man. And Plastic Man was originally a quality comics character in the 40s.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. So he's there's like a whole platoon of shape-shifting secret police plastic people. They're called plastic men with 2 S's, as in the German SS, the Schutzstaffel. And there's even a version of the obscure quality character Bozo the Iron Man.
Huh.
So that's Rob Venditti's going for some deep cuts. But what's most appealing to me here, though, is that what he's doing is he's telling good old-fashioned nuts and bolts, straightforward superhero storytelling. Just underdog superheroes who happen to be based on old Golden Age second publisher characters going up against Nazis who are Nazis. I was a little worried that there would be some kind of political allegory, some kind of message or agenda being pursued here. But nope, it's just good guys versus bad guys, and there's no more classic bad guy than Nazis. So that's all Venditti appears to be doing, and so more power to him.
So no schmazzies, just Nazis.
Say again?
So no schmazzies, just Nazis.
Yep, it's Nazis. Yep, and it's just it's a 12-issue series. I'm definitely in for the long ride. I get the feeling once all's said and done, I'm going to think that the story could have been told in fewer issues than that. But yeah, it's so both Shazam and Freedom Fighters have got the merge seal of approval.
Excellent. You are excited. I'm sorry.
Extremely.
Excellent.
I've got one more thing under my belt, real quick. I forget whether I mentioned on the show that I watched Happy Season 1.
Okay.
Christopher Maloney, starring in an adaptation of Grant Morrison's graphic novel with Derek Robertson. Absolutely love it. It's all on Netflix now, Season 1.
Excellent.
And I would definitely give that a watch. It's only 8 episodes long, so it's pretty easy to knock out in a week or two. But Season 2 officially has a launch date. It is going to be March 27th, and it's going to each season they've announced is going to be based on a different holiday, and Season 2 is going to be based around Easter. So it makes sense for it to be premiering in March versus the December, January of the original season, which was based around Christmas. So
I like that choice.
Yep. Very much looking forward to this. The first season was excellent.
Yep, I was watching it around Christmas time last year. For those who don't know, Happy is about kind of a grizzled old fallen from grace ex-cop played by Maloney, who has to team up with his young daughter's imaginary friend, Happy, who is a flying blue donkey voiced by Patton Oswalt. And they have to go rescue the detective's daughter from a human trafficking ring who has captured her as kind of a present for a local, very badly twisted crime lord, and lots of very badly twisted things occur in the course of the story. So, I echo Ian's praise for it. You have to be in a certain mood to appreciate this level of depravity, but it's one of the more interesting and more earthy things that Grant Morrison has done over the last few years. So it got a worthy adaptation from the Syfy channel.
Most definitely, yeah. And I was in absolutely the right mood when I watched it the first time around. I was looking for something a little bit crazy, and it is most definitely crazy.
You come to the right place.
I remember being advertised, and I want to sit down and watch it. So I'm glad it's on Netflix. I'll queue that up sometime soon and try to barrel through it.
Yep, indeed. All right, have we shot our bolt?
I think so. I've talked about everything I was thinking about.
I see 3 bolt casings lying on the ground in a triangle.
Well done, well done. Well, Murd, who are we sponsored by?
All right. We have been sponsored this evening by the Collection Drawer Company and their fine product, the Drawer Box, the easy access storage solution to accommodate whatever you accumulate, be it comics or otherwise. Go to collectiondrawer.com to find out more about this fine product and how you can order it to revolutionize your storing of your collection.
Shane, you ready to step in?
I am. Visit us at comicgeekspeak.com. To send us an email, the address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. To leave a voicemail, the number is 267-702-6642. Stop by thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com. Let us know what you think of this episode, and definitely take a look at the best of 2018 thread and send us in your selections. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Thanks to everyone who contributes to the episode, and for the Muddle the Merds, keep them coming so we can keep muddling the Merd. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Laser beams, like the seasons on every
Then they play it in full because I can.